everybody. Welcome back. And welcome back, Veenu. So happy to have you be our guest again on the podcast. Veenu is a client of 3D learning experts and a fellow advocate for neurodiverse individuals. And I asked Veenu to come back today and share with us her new tool that she created for families. So Veenu, tell us all about what you've got going on.
So I've been doing a lot of traveling, and we're actually getting ready to go to my mom's, which will be really great because I'm going to have some really quality time with my kids. Because I've been to Jamaica, Cancun, Australia. I've been speaking in all these different countries and having some time with my husband at some of them too. And it's just been a really great opportunity to start my 2025 off with lots of travel. But in the midst of that, I was actually creating my talk for my presentation I was doing in Cancun with some parents. And it was all about how do you create stronger bonds through communication with your kids. And for years, Jess, I've been saying I was going to create a deck of cards with questions because people are like, you're like the queen of questions. You ask the best questions. And I was like, I got to put this like into a card deck or something for families. But I'm sure you can attest to this. We get busy and these ideas that are great get put on a shelf until we really come to that moment. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and do it. So I was putting my talk together for my trip in Mexico in January. And I was like, these are great questions. And I started capturing them, what I was going to use in my talk, and explain to parents why these questions have such value. And that is when I created a new tool called Chatter Matters, Conversations That Bring Us Closer. And there's 10 different categories with these cards, and each category has 10 different questions. And the reason why I created this is I saw, especially after COVID, there has been a decline in the way that kids communicate with us and honestly communicate with each other. It's very short answered. It's not engaging. There's no dialogue anymore. Kids don't feel seen and heard. Us parents don't feel seen or heard by our own kids because it's like a quick check in. How was your day? Great. What was great? Recess. Okay, goodbye. And I was like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more time and more effort put into communication. And it's up to us as parents to really lay this foundation for our children. So as they grow up and become independent adults in this world, that they too know how to have engaging conversations with other people, like at work or with their partners.
We'd like to take a moment to thank our amazing sponsors who make this podcast possible. First up, we have 3D learning experts. If you or someone you love struggles with dyslexia, dyscalculia, or similar learning differences, 3D learning experts is here to help. They specialize in virtual tutoring for students of all ages. From first grade to adulthood, their expert tutors use the proven Orton-Gillingham method for language arts, structured and sequential program for writing success, and a multi-sensory approach to math. This ensures students enhance their reading, writing, spelling, and math skills in a way that suits their needs. Empowering students with confidence and success. That's what 3D Learning Experts is all about. To learn more, visit 3dlearningexperts.com. And when it's time to unwind, why not escape to fabulous Las Vegas with Casa Arce Vacations? Whether you're planning a quick getaway or a family reunion, Casa Arce Vacations offers 4 unique stays at one convenient location. Just under 3 miles from the Strip, choose from a cozy tiny house, 2 stylish studios, or a spacious 4-bedroom, 2-bath unit. All guests have access to amazing amenities, including a play pool, putting green, barbecue, fire pit, and each unit has its own private patio. Perfect for any occasion, they've got the ideal spot for your next adventure. Start planning your trip today at facebook.com/Casa RSA Vacations. Thank you to our sponsors for their support and for the incredible services they provide. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
So this tool was created specifically for that. How do we get kids to engage even more? And so we do this with our 12-year-old twins. And then my 17-year-old stepdaughter, who lives with her mom, she will FaceTime us and say, okay, I'm ready to do it. So we always wait for her to be home and then we do it. And that's what was great about it. It's like to see even a 17-year-old wanting to do this. And we actually started to figure out information about her that we would never know. So she pulled a card that it was something about, how do you show when you're frustrated or sad? She goes, well, when I'm with my boyfriend, if either of us gets frustrated, we will simply say, I need 5 minutes. And we give each other that respect and we take 5 minutes and then one of us will, engage with the other one after that. I was like looking at my husband, I'm like, that is such a healthy relationship. I love that. And I would never have known how she communicates with her boyfriend at 17 if we didn't get this card pulled, if she didn't answer that question. And I started to recognize that this tool is going beyond what I could have even imagined. And I was doing it today because the kids saw it in my car and they're like, oh, Chatter Matters. Because we hadn't done it in the last couple nights. I said, yeah, I thought we would pull some cards. And my son Sam's like, I'm not doing it. Okay, well, don't do it. So my daughter pulls the card and she answers it. And Sam's like, oh, I want to answer. I say, oh, I thought you weren't doing it. He's like, well, no, I want to answer that one. So then all of a sudden, it's like, it just pulls you kind of in. Like, it's not a force. We're having fun with this. We're going to have this engaging conversation. And there's no wrong or right way to do it. I had someone in Canada who videoed their family doing it and posted it. And she actually separated all the sections, and she would let her kids go and pick what section they wanted to choose from, and then pick a question from that category. We literally take them and we spread them and we just pull whatever question, not looking at what the category is. And so there's so many ways that you can use this, but the key to this is really creating that open, safe, and trusting space where you allow the communication to be more of a dialogue versus a one-way conversation.
That's so awesome. I'm so impressed that you created something that, is beneficial for all families and not just your own, right? You're thinking beyond what your family benefits from. Did you find when you were traveling in other places that other cultures, the families communicate differently than Americans? Right?
That was interesting. I brought only 10 with me to Australia. And when I was on stage, I was speaking on behalf of another company, so I wasn't soliciting my stuff or anything. But as people were coming to talk to me about, coaching and coaching kids and parents and what that looks like, it was like, I would tell them, I'm like, oh, I had this tool that I created. They're like, I want to buy it. I sold out in less than 24 hours, the 10 that I had. And I had more people like, how can I get some? How can I get some? And so I do have a link that I'll share with your listeners. But yeah, it was so great. And then when we were in Jamaica, I brought it did a vacation with a friend, and he was celebrating his 50th birthday, and he invited 20 of us close friends, and some of us never even met each other. We literally pulled Chatter Matters out that morning at breakfast, and us adults were doing it. We did it for like 45 minutes. It was so much fun. And it was just a way for all of us to kind of get to know each other. It was a beautiful experience. And so, I feel like it's definitely international now, but I'm also seeing that communication is global. No matter what language you speak, whether you and I have worked with nonverbal kids, they still know how to communicate. Right. And so if communication is worldwide, then this should be worldwide as well, because it really gives you an opportunity to dig deeper. Because if you think about like some of the categories, because I was telling some people what they were, and they're like, oh my God, these are amazing. Reflection on day, strengthening trust, exploring emotions, fostering openness, encouraging growth, building family connections, imaginative and fun questions, celebrating accomplishments, deepening understanding, self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem.
Those are great. Would you read a couple of the questions?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm just going to kind of pull and see. Hopefully they're the good ones I like. Let's see. So this one says, how do you feel when someone asks you for your opinion? And that's a great question, because one of my children actually pulled this, and it says it makes them feel important. It makes them feel important when someone asks their opinion, like they matter, that they have some worth in this world, that they're not just another pretty face, right? Like, you want to know what my opinion is? Oh my gosh, I would love to know. Like it lights them up inside. Where do you feel you add value in your life, like at home, school, or with friends? I feel like that's an important question, because one of the biggest issues we face with our kids these days is them not seeing what value is. And how do you have self-worth and value yourself when you don't know what value is? And I see that a lot with the, like my own kids that have dyslexia. It's like they see themselves different. And so they're not seen as valued, like they're not as smart, or they don't have a lot to contribute. They hate reading out loud in class, because it takes them a little bit more time still to read out loud, and so it gives them an opportunity to explore, where does value show up for you in your life? Let's see, one more. Can you tell me a time when you felt I really understood you?
I love that one.
Questions like that are important because we start to learn their formula of when they feel they have been understood and heard. Because a lot of the times I hear, you know, one of the kids picked today was, what can I do for you when you're feeling overwhelmed? And my son said to me, he's like, well, what you can do for me, mom, is, and dad, but my husband wasn't there, but if you guys stop over talking me and let me be heard so I can tell you what I'm overwhelmed about. I'm like, I can do that. So now I'm learning his strategy of what that.
Yeah, that's great. Instead of guessing. I mean, and that's great for spouses too, right? If we can find out what makes our spouse feel heard and appreciated and understood, it helps the marriage.
And sometimes it's really about give me example. Like, can you tell me a time where you really felt I understood you? So you're asking for an example. So I can go back when when one of my kids say, well, a time that I really felt understood, mom, is when you sat down, you held my hands, you looked me in the eye, and you were shaking your head like, yes. And then you repeated back what I said. Boom. I have her recipe now. I know that when something comes up for her, and she needs to feel heard and understood, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take her hand, and I'm going to be fully present with what she's saying. And I'm going to really take it in, and I'm going to say it back to her. And so she'll never, ever have to feel not understood again.
I love that because, if you just randomly asked your child that, they would look at you like, why are you asking me this? But, since it's a game that's on a card, it's takes down the barriers of awkwardness that could be there when asking these questions that can really help your relationship, help your child grow as a person, and really get to understand themselves before they're out in the world.
For sure.
Kudos to you. That is so awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, there's lots of questions like this, right? It's really, and that's why I said it's not just for kids. You brought up a great point. It's really for anyone. If you're in a partnership with someone, you want to get to know people differently. Like if you're at like a family reunion and you haven't seen your cousins for a while, or your aunts and uncles, it's a great thing to get connection. It really does bring us closer. And it's like, that's why I named it Chatter Matters. And my daughter was like, I was thinking that today when me and my friend were talking, that our chatter actually does matter. Like it matters to have these conversations.
Right. Yeah. We have a box on my kitchen table that has questions that are, engaging questions, but they're not necessarily appropriate for kids. They're more geared towards adults. So that's wonderful that you have created Chatter Matters so that the conversations can start much sooner.
Yes. And that's the key of this, Jess, is that if we are going to give kids a childhood they won't have to heal from, we have to be doing something different in our houses now, because 90% of kids are influenced by outside influences. That means that we only have 10% of the influence in their life after the age of 12. And so I believe the age could probably go lower, probably like 7 or 8 when they get to school, and we can bring that back if we can create an open, safe, and trusting space, meaning our kids don't feel judged. They can come talk to us about anything. They don't feel they have to lie about it. They feel that we're really going to understand them. We give them space to have that emotion. If they're frustrated with what we're saying, it's like, okay, you're frustrated right now, and you have every right to be frustrated. And so what can I do to support you through that right now? And to really allow it so they're not ashamed of their feelings. They're not ashamed or embarrassed to tell you things that go on. They're open to hear our advice so we can get back to guiding our children in the direction of where this world is going in a safe space.
That's great. So what's next for Chatter Matters? Is there a junior Chatter Matters coming out?
I don't know. This is like literally only 2 months old. Like that's how new it is. And so right now I have only a limited time left. They're on sale right now for $25 plus shipping. Everyone's going to get the collector's edition because there was a typo on it. So I tell everybody, it's the collector's edition. So they're for a limited time, they're $25 plus shipping. And I can definitely give you the link. If they go to my website, veenuinspires.com, and there's a drop down with the shop. They can buy theirs for $25 right now there. But I'm just getting my new ones printed. So when they come out, then the prices are going up, as I've been told. But I really just want to get these in the hands of everyone. It's a great Mother's Day gift. It's a great, teacher's gift.
Yeah.
I just want to make it accessible, just to get them out there, let people start talking about them, and really see the value that these actually bring into your home.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing these with us today. And do you want to share, besides Chatter Matters, what other work you're currently focusing on?
Yeah, so I just came out also with my new ebook called the A+ Kid Formula. If you're on Facebook, you might have seen the ads already. And with that, it really talks about 6 different things you can do in daily habits you could do with your kids to turn things around in your home. And I've also created a children's life wheel. There's a family plan, because I really feel that, we spend so much time on our business and having business meetings, making sure what's working, what's not working, what's the new business, what do we want to take care of, what do we want to create in the next week. But do we spend that with our family? And we wonder why our family kind of goes through, lulls and valleys and hills and everything else. It's where are we putting the time in? Most families put a lot of time in when there's crisis. There's crisis. Okay, this is going on. So all of a sudden we're leaving work, we're canceling appointments, and everything, all the attention is put onto this crisis because we have to, divert the crisis, like get out of it. But what if there was a way that you didn't have to have crisis, that you actually took time to sit with your family and be with them and talk about what's been working, what's not working, what are you missing out on, what could I do better, what could you do better? You haven't been following through with what you're supposed to be doing. What's a great consequence for you? What is this going to cost you in the long run if you keep being this way? Think about if you had a job, would you be this way? Just having those family meetings is an opportunity to grow and be more, close as a family and build that stronger bond. So I created a whole family plan, some I am statements. So my marketers have just got that out in the last month also.
Well, that's great. Yeah. And we'll definitely share a link on the video and also on YouTube so that people can access those. And if you could leave parents with one key takeaway about the importance of communication, what would that be?
Be curious, not critical. Be curious, not critical. Allow your kids the opportunity to share what they share. Don't wrong them. Don't blame them for it. Just appreciate through their perception how they're seeing things in their life, and be open and curious how you could support them through it.
Awesome. Thanks again, Veenu, for coming on our Empowered Parent podcast. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you so much, Jess.